Hey everyone, it's David. Week 17 out here in Korea. Sorry if my voice sounds a little hoarse, but I'll explain later on in the video what's going on. But this week started off still snowing, still cloudy, still kind of gloomy, same as last week. The snow really hasn't melted off, but the beginning of the week was Christmas Day, so I decided to have a couple of people over and try my hand at making some food. And I ended up making a big cake and then meatloaf and potatoes. And it all actually turned out pretty good. I was trying to consider how many people I needed to cook for and always overestimate because it's always better to have more than not enough. But I made 2 big fair-sized meatloaves, and then afterwards I took this video of what got destroyed. So this cake, we ate about half of that. Pretty well all the veggies were gone, and then destroyed all but just a little bit of one of the meatloaves, and all the bread just totally got demolished. Later the next day, it started snowing again, just a little bit, and not too much, but just a little dusting of snow. They pretty well said we're done with snow for the next couple of weeks, but then they'll end up going back and changing the forecast pretty quickly, almost on a day-to-day, hour by hour, but we got some more snow, so I decided to stay in that day and open up some of the Christmas presents that I had gotten. And this one came from my lovely wife and my sweet little daughter. And it wasn't only afterwards until I realized that I didn't do a very good recording of this, but I got my sweet daughter gave me was a bear that she got whenever she took a trip to Washington, D.C., and we trade off bears to each other. And this is a flamingo that I got, or my wife sent me from Florida, and it just kind of reminded me of the tropical beach feel that I'm really going for. Got some good deodorant, which I desperately needed, and some good lotion because my skin's getting so dried out. Some more hair stuff that I needed, and lots of new undies, which pretty well every Christmas I ask for underwear and socks, and they definitely delivered on the underwear and socks. And as you'll see later, this is kind of the theme of this Christmas for me, is lots of socks, which I can never have enough socks. I'm a sock person, so I like all different types of socks: warm socks, thick socks, short socks. These socks are pretty cool. They have little palm trees on them, and so I have no shortage of socks now and underwear. So I am set for the rest of the year until next Christmas. Never can have enough socks and underwear. That's always my motto. Also got this cool pair of sweatpants that my wife got for me. It didn't really film very well in the camera, but they're wonderful. Dad also sent me this, and every year Dad sends a box about this size, but it's usually a box that shotgun shells came in originally that he repurposes. And smart thinking of Dad, didn't want to send a box with shot residue, gunpowder residue all over it overseas. That would have definitely flagged customs or not made it over here, so he improvised and made his own box out of a cereal box, so that was pretty cool. And Dad sent me over some cash, so thanks, Dad. I really appreciate it. I also got some boxes from Granny, and Granny always does a wonderful job wrapping all of her presents, so I always feel bad tearing into them, but I gotta get to the goodies somehow. But Granny had originally sent me some thermals, and I've been wearing them pretty well every day, so I am grateful that she sent 2 more sets of thermals for me. And I am getting good use out of them now because it has been very cold. Even on the quote warm days, it's still very cold. So getting excellent use out of those, so thank you so much for sending those, Granny. And like I said earlier, the theme of this Christmas seemed to be socks, so lots and lots of socks. So I got tons of socks, and like I said, I could probably wear a pair of socks every day from here on out and not have to wash anything. So I'm grateful for that. I also got this box from my mom, and I had no idea what this could be, but Mom had sent me this. It's not quite a puzzle, it's something that you glue together, but it's like a bookend, and it's like a 3-dimensional, almost like a diorama kind of thing. It requires you to pop out these little wooden pieces and glue them intricately together, and it forms this bigger picture, which I've been working on for quite a while. I have to film it and put it in the next video, but it's actually pretty cool. It's definitely been occupying my time with tedious how the little pieces have to fit together just right in order to fit together and make it look correct. So I'll definitely put that in the next video that I'm working on. I'm not sure if it'll be done by then, but I'll definitely put it in there. So I decided to make some bread, a different style of bread, this brioche loaf. So I've never made the brioche loaf before, so I decided to go ahead and give my hand a shot at that. I decided I'd make the smaller loaf because I always make the bigger loaf and I never can finish it. So it says you need 1/4 cup. Well, my measuring cup was dirty, so I decided to just use this cup. I mean, a cup's a cup, right? So that seemed like it was about 1/4 cup. So add in 1/4 cup of whole milk. And then next on there was a couple of tablespoons of butter, which I couldn't find a tablespoon. I had, in here I had no spoon, but I did find a drawer spoon, but it says tablespoon, not drawer spoon. So I had to take a look around and see if I could find anything else. I found a bathroom spoon. Around my place I have all different kinds of spoons. I even had a bed spoon, but like I said, I need a tablespoon, not bed spoon, not bathroom spoon, not drawer spoon. And then I found my tablespoon. Yep, it's table, yep, okay. Got my tablespoon, but then I don't really know how you measure the square of butter, so I just decided to read the directions again, and it said everything needs to be a 1/2 inch, so I just decided, well, if it needs to be a 1/2 inch, I better be precise because I've been getting ridiculed lately for not doing things correctly. So I got out the ruler and I made sure that I cut each one of these into a 1/2 inch section just perfectly. It took me a good couple of hours, but I made sure they were all exactly a 1/2 inch. I think maybe it makes the bread taste better when you do it that way. I don't know, but I made sure they were all a 1/2 inch square. So a couple hours later, I had perfect 1/2 inch cubes of butter. Once I had all those good to go, tossed them in with the bread, and then moved on to the next step. And the next one was I needed 2 large eggs. So I couldn't really tell which eggs were the large eggs out of this batch. So I pulled them all out and rearranged them and arranged them again and then rearranged to try to put them in size order so I could figure out which one was the large one. Like I said, I needed 2 large ones, so I grouped them by size, and I think I found the 2 large eggs. So I put those 2 large eggs in with the bread ingredients and then moved on to the next one, which this one said I needed 2 teaspoons. So I didn't know where my teaspoons were at, so I do have a lot of teas, so I figured with a tea there's got to be a teaspoon in there, right? So I looked through a couple of boxes, and sure enough, the last box that I checked was this orange rooibos tea that I really liked. My lovely wife sent me. It had a teaspoon in it, so I was able to measure out the salt that I needed in the teaspoon increments. So moving on to the next step, said I needed a couple of tablespoons of some sugar. So I grabbed my tablespoon again and tossed in the sugar with the rest of the mix, and then made sure that I measured it out just right, because again, I don't want to get heckled by anybody. So then it also said I needed some powdered milk. So again, grabbed my trusty spoon and threw it all in there. And then it said I needed some unbleached flour, but I misread it first, and I thought I needed bleached flour. Well, I had this unbleached flour, but the only thing that I had that had bleach in it was this Clorox. So I was about to add it, and I thought, well, let me check one more time, and I realized, oh no, it says unbleached flour, so I had the right kind. So that could have made it taste real bad, but luckily I had it. And again, I didn't really have my measuring cup was dirty, and I just didn't really want to wash it, so I made it work the best I could. The last ingredient called for a couple of teaspoons of another ingredient of yeast, but I accidentally mixed up my teaspoon and my tablespoon. They both kind of look similar, so I decided, well, let me make sure this doesn't happen again. And so I marked one with a T for teaspoon, and then I marked the other one with a T for tablespoon. So this way I don't accidentally get them mixed up again. I can tell them apart. So I made sure all the ingredients were there, and sure enough, I had everything that said it needs to go into the bread. So I slapped it in the bread maker, made sure it was secure, closed the hood, and revved up the engine and fired it up and let it do its thing. Again, just love this bread maker because that's all you have to do. Once you put everything in there, you just hit the buttons and tell it what you want it to do, and it just takes off and starts making bread for you, and you just get to do whatever you want while it does its thing, and then you come back later to some tasty bread. So I decided to use the time that the bread was cooking to clear out all the Christmas decorations that I had up. This is my seasonal box, and so whenever I leave here, I'm gonna put this box down in the area where everybody puts all the stuff whenever they move out that they don't want anymore. It's kind of like a little thrift closet, I guess you could say, where everybody pulls things that other people were getting rid of and put them in their place if they need to. So I'll be passing all this stuff along. So I had to get all the ornaments off of my little, I can't remember what kind of tree it was, sage tree. And all the cards that I accumulated over the time that I've been here. I went ahead and put those there. I'll probably end up taking them with me, but just putting them in the holiday box for now. I'm going to take down all the door ornaments, which I need to find something else to put on the door now because it looks a little plain whenever I come back in. A little bit sad, so I'll find a new door decoration, a new ornament of some sort. I think the next holiday is Easter, somewhere in there. Cleared up my little plant, my fake house plant that's over by the front door. Threw all that stuff in the box as well. And then the last thing that I had to put in there was the little Christmas tree that Dad had sent. And I started to try to take all the ornaments off of it at first, but it was a pain getting them on there, and it was going to be more of a pain getting them off. So I figured, whoever has this next is going to be grateful that they have a tree that's already pre-lit and pre-decorated. So I had to shove the whole thing inside of the box like it was. So shoved it all back into the closet, and now it's just waiting for next season's decorations. By that time, the bread was done. So I was able to pull the bread out and flop it out onto the wire rack and let it cool a little bit. With this bread, actually with none of the breads in this bread recipe does it say you need to let it cool completely. It does, but I just ignore it. But I always cut into bread whenever it's nice and hot because that's the way to do it. With this bread maker, it attaches the little spindle in there, so you had to pull that out. But this bread came out pretty good. It was nice and crusty on the outside, and then nice and soft on the inside. You can see my new bread knife in action there. Great investment. I'm so glad I got that. This bread was really, really good. Seems more like almost like a rustic bread, but it's very, very good. Not the best one that I made, but pretty close. The rest of the week was pretty gloomy, pretty foggy, and this is about when all the pollution started rolling in over this area, and I kind of mentioned I was feeling a little bit under the weather and sound kind of congested and a little bit hoarse. Well, this is why, because all of this is it's a little bit of fog, but it's mostly pollution that is mixed in with all this fog that has caused this very, very dense, thick cloud over where we live. And pretty well for this past couple of days after this rolled in, everybody's been very, very sick and very, very congested. All the allergy meds are off the counter now, and it's gotten pretty bad. It remained around for the better part of 2 days. And there's air quality alerts that'll go out to let people know that air quality is just really bad and you shouldn't breathe it. And it stayed like that for a while. And later in the week, I had to go up to Osan again and went up to one of their recreation areas up there and got some sushi, but I forgot to film it beforehand. So all you're seeing here is the aftermath of it. The sushi place is pretty cool. It looked neat. I think they do karaoke at night, but they had it all lit up with this cool indoor-outdoor scene, and it was a pretty neat place and really good food. I really enjoyed it. And the rest of the week was a little bit snowy. It didn't really stick around too much, just kind of snow flurries. But the rest of the week, the pollution kind of moved out of the area, and the air got a little bit cleaner, but it was still, I think, mostly in the red. So you can always tell when it's really bad, just depending on how far you can see out the window. And this was pretty bad, pretty polluted, pretty congested. But the rest of the week just remained gloomy and cloudy, and can't wait for some warmer weather in springtime. I know it's far off, but I'm already thinking about it. So, well, thanks everybody for watching. God bless you all. I'll keep making his videos as long as everybody wants to see them. Also, check out the video my lovely wife and sweet daughter put out on this same channel. And love you all. Bye.